right, awesome, guys. So welcome again to our Monday sales training call. We are privileged to have the youngest Hall of Fame producer here at Family First Life, Mr. Michael Sandman. Michael, you with me?
Yes, sir. I'm with you, man. I'm excited to be on here, brother. Man, maybe one day my team will be doing them numbers. So yeah, man, I'm excited on here.
Awesome, man. Definitely. I'm sure they will, man. I'm sure they will. You're that close to it, and especially with what activity that you're putting in. I'm sure you're building an agency, and those guys are going to be doing great things with you. So thanks for making some time to be on. So real quick, I know some people may know you, but some people don't. We have a lot of new agents on the call that haven't yet plugged into all the trainings available, but just for an introduction, go ahead, kind of give them a little bit of your background and how you found Family First Life, and then I'll jump into some more questions with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, Jermaine, dude, thank you for having me on here, man. It's always, I mean, these calls, I love getting on these things because, man, I remember when I was a new agent, you know, seeing people that were, you know, doing what I wanted to do, and I aspired to be like. So, man, I appreciate you having me on. But so yeah, man, I started with Family First about the end of 2020. So I've been doing this right at like for about 15 months. And when I initially started, well, what was crazy for me to back up, I need to back up a little more. I moved down to Florida when I was 18 years old, and I moved out here, you know, with just my brother. You know, I was ready. I was living in Louisiana majority of my life, and I was like, you know what, I'm ready to, you know, I want to be out of here. I want to find something new. You know, I was tired of the I don't know. The swampland, nothing to do. I was just ready to get out. I don't know. So we got out and we came down to Florida. We didn't have no money. You know, my goal was to find something, you know, that I could, you know, do well at, make a lot of money. But I didn't know, you know, when we moved to Florida, it was when COVID, you know, hit. So it was hard enough. It was, you know, people were losing their jobs. So it was hard enough finding one, you know. So when we got down here, my friend told me, he's like, hey, dude, I made $500 on Monday. And I was like, dude, you made 500. I was like, dude, is that like, are you like, what are you doing something sketchy? I mean, what are you doing? He's like, no, I made $500. I was like, what? He's like, I've done that selling life insurance. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's very odd. I didn't know. I was like, you know what? I mean, that's a lot better than what I'm making. Why not give it a try? So I was living, what was crazy is me and my brother were living out of our vehicles at the time. So I called the company that he worked with, which was not Family First Life. And I said, hey, dude, you know, I want to join. That was that simple. I was like, man, I'm ready to go. He's like, of course. So he sent me the course. I remember I went into a Goodwill parking lot with my old computer, super old computer. And I studied for about 10 minutes. And I figured out real quick, I was like, dude, screw that. I'm not studying in this. I mean, when I first thing, it was in my car, the car that I had when I was in idle for like more than 10 minutes, the AC stopped working. So that was the number one thing. And in the middle of Florida, man, it's cold. It's hot out here, man. Yeah. The humidity is just, regardless, I was not going to do that. So fast forward 3 months later, man, I found myself in the same position. I was doing like DoorDash. I was working a part-time job, making $300 a week. I was just doing everything that I could to make ends meet. You know, it wasn't like I could call my dad and get him to cash out me 100 or anything. Like, you know, I had to make I had to figure things out on my own. So the second time around, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a look back into the life insurance industry. And I did a lot of my own research. You know, I looked up I reached out to like 10 different companies, and man, I was young and dumb, and I knew, from what I researched, Family First Life was the move. I had no, you know, I wasn't knowledgeable in terms of, you know, compensation, any of that, but it just seemed like it was a good fit. Yeah. So I called up Eric Anthony, and he said he just opened up his office like 6 days before. I called him. I said, hey, dude, I don't know. I mean, I'm just ready to get going. He's like, hey, he called me back within like 10 minutes. He's like, dude, meet me in my office in an hour. So I did. I met him at his office in an hour. The craziest guy I ever met, but he really changed my life. He said, he's like, come inside. He's like, what's your email, your date of birth, your first and last name? And I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. I'll give it to you. And I gave it to him, and he booked my exam 7 days later. He's like, all right, bro. So you got your, you know, you got 7 days to take the test and there's the door. I was like, okay. So I left, and yeah, man, I somehow, some way I end up passing the test. And yeah, man, it's ever since then, for me, man, there was no way out. There was no plan B. This was, I wasn't trying to go to school for another 4 years, so I had to make this work. But that was kind of my journey before getting started. And that was from the time, that's what I'd done before Family First. And yeah, man, it's been a crazy journey ever since.
Awesome, man. And when was that, when you passed your test?
Yeah, that was towards the end of 2020.
Okay, perfect. So last year, 2021, was your first full year with Family First Life. Awesome. And
yes,
you had a Hall of Fame year, which means you helped over 400 families in that year, your first year. So I want to talk a little bit about that, because that's a big accomplishment. And by the way, happy belated birthday. You just had a birthday, right?
Yeah, I did. I was riding that 19 years as long as I could. I was like, I'm 19 years old. Like the last day of convention, I was 19, 364 days old, but I was going to still say I was 19. The day after the last day of convention, I turned 20. So yeah, about a week.
Well, you can't ride that 19 anymore, but
Oh, no.
but that's awesome, man. So as a 19-year-old, went out, protected over 400 families last year. So talk to us a little bit about that. What was the drive? What was the motivation? And what were some of the struggles that you had to overcome to be able to accomplish that?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, and I'm going to be very transparent with you guys, man. I was probably, not probably, I was, top 5 worst ages to come into Family First. And I can honestly say, like, I was really, really bad. One, I just wanted to do my own thing. I was 18 years old, man. I was young and dumb. I thought I knew it all, like all this, like there was so many different things that I had to overcome, which I'm honestly thankful that was the journey, because I don't feel like it would have took me to where, what I became to be, So in the very beginning, man, it was just, I came into this business with $3.50 in my bank, to my name, like $3. And I had a maxed out credit card, I had no money. I didn't even have money to pay for the course. Like they paid for my course. They paid they paid for the exam. They paid for all of that. So in the very beginning, the motivating factor for me was simple. I was just tired of being broke. Like, I know I was young, but I was tired. Like I had no money. And I was like, man, I want to do better for myself. I want to do better for my family. I want to make my dad proud. Like, he's not proud of me, delivering food. I was like, man, I need to do something better for myself. So in the beginning, the first couple months, man, it was rough. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I wasn't one of them guys that came in, $60K first month, I was far from that. I had, learned the hard way. I bumped my head a lot. One was, first thing was coming in the office at 8 o'clock, coming in late and then leaving early. Like I'd come in at 8:30 and I'd be gone by 10 and wonder why it wasn't working, and that's something that I, figured out real quick, that, you do that and you'll be out of the business quick. So when I initially came in, I remember I came into the office one time and I dialed through 40 leads. I don't know. I dialed through them in 3 hours. And it was before lunch and I was leaving the office, and Eric Anthony was like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, dude, I'm gone. I dialed through all my leads. I'm good. And he's like, no, dude, you need to dial each lead 27 times a piece. I said, dude, 27 times a piece. He's like, yeah, you need to dial every single lead that many times. You need to get a hold of them people, and you need to dial from, daylight to dark. And I know that's something that sounds so specific, but that's what completely changed everything for me, man. Every single thing. That's what changed, was being committed to dialing from 8 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't going to leave until it was 9:30 at night. Like I was going to be committed to them 13 and a half hours, and I wasn't going to get up from my chair unless, I had all my appointments. So that was something that specifically really helped me in the beginning, was becoming super committed. And I know that's something that's literally shouted from the rooftops on every podcast you get on, every YouTube video, from FFL, but that's what changed everything. Like, I know even people now, people ask me, dude, you're so young. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm not verbally advanced. I'm not even that smart. It's just, I'm willing to dial for 12 hours a day. That's it. That's all it is. And regardless of whether, I know a lot of times people have a lot of questions in terms of, what leads are you running? What mortgage finally, I'm like, dude, I just dial 12 hours a day. That's it. That's all it is. And when you put in that type of activity on the phone, you're going to sit with, 8 to 12 people, and then you're going to help 5 to 6 families. And once I figured that out, I just held on to that, and I became super disciplined to that. And it changed everything for me, because in the beginning, man, that was another thing that I struggled with, was being so young. It was like, man, I'm going to go into these houses. Like, who's this, fluffy haired, chubby cheek kid trying to sell me some insurance? And then there were thoughts going on in my head. I was like, man, I don't, but the thing is what fixed it. It didn't matter. It really doesn't matter if you have one eyeball and half an arm. If you get in front of 30 people a week, you'll help 300-400 families. It's impossible not to. And once I learned that, it literally scaled me to where I was able to, help a lot of families.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me ask you this, because one, the work ethic is, that you talk about it should be more common, but it's not, and especially being young, it's easy as a young individual to get distracted. And I say that because I have, in our agency, we have adults, including myself, that get distracted when we have, what I like to call big boy bills. So how did you maintain that focus and that discipline, even when you were helping a lot of families? And obviously, our minimum compensation typically is 100%. So you're making a good income. How did you stay focused and not get caught up in, wow, I'm making more money than I've been made, let me kind of, release and take the foot off the pedal?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, one thing that I something that kept me super focused is, man, my end result is to, like, do something great for my family, do something for my dad, my mom. We weren't the family with the 2-story home and the BMW sitting outside, we were, not to say we were, eating rice and beans, but we weren't, like I said, we weren't, that well off. So, what kept me so motivated was, I really wanted to make my parents proud, because I came from, where I was, really struggling. We moved out to Florida with nothing. And I, that's what kept me super motivated. And I've never been too driven by, going out. I can't even go out. I'm too young to go out, but it's just like and even at my age, it was just like, I don't know. I really don't. It was just, I just was like, man, this would be really cool if I could just go out and help a lot of families. Honestly, I was like, man, and honestly, I enjoy it. I really do. Like, I love going out, I'm not going to say I like dialing the phone because I'd be lying through my teeth, but I do like going out and, helping families, serving. And we make really good money at Family First. So that motivates you as well. And then also when you automate, this is something that kept me going too. When you automate your leads, you automate your deposits. And when you spend $2,000 on leads, you're not gonna sit on the leads for 3 weeks. You're gonna go run them. And that's what I did. I made it where, I was automating my leads on a weekly basis, and it forced me to go to work week in and week out. And my first 5 months, I can tell you, like, I was so scared to invest into myself. Like, dude, I would spend $500 on leads, man. I would come into the office, I would book, 7 appointments, 3 for tomorrow, 4 for the next day. 5 of them would no-show me and be 2 no-sells. And I was like, man, I can never get ahead doing that. And then, like, my 5th month in, my mentor told me, he's like, dude, all you got to do is spend $2,000 a week on leads. I was like, dude, there ain't no way I'm spending $2,000. I was like, dude, there's no way. I was like, dude, it took me a month and a half to make that at my previous job. You think I'm going to spend this in a week? I was like, he's like, dude, that's what you have to do. I was like, well, so what I done is I saved up, like, I think I ended up saving like 10 grand because I really extinguished a lot of my leads. And it was in April of last year. I spent 2 grand every single week on leads. And that month I helped 71 families, which I was like, wow. It opened up everything for, it was such an eye opener, because I went from, like I said, spending $500 a week to spending $2,000 to not only helping double the amount of families I did previously, but being insanely more profitable. It's like, yeah, you spent more, but you were also way more profitable because you were able to get in front of more people and serve and help, more people. So yeah, I think, man, I don't know. kind of rambling, but them were things that really helped me. It really did, you know, in turn, like learning to invest into myself was, you know, so imperative to, you know, being able to help a lot of families. And you can scale it as much as you want. You know, you can go from, I went from spending $2,000 to some weeks I was spending $3,500 a week, you know, and it completely changed everything for me. And to stay super disciplined and focused, back to your initial question, was just making sure that I was spending that every single week. So it forced me to go to work every single week. That forced, no matter what, it didn't matter if I didn't want to get up on dialed, I had to get up because I just spent $3,000 on leads, you know, so that's what kept me moving as well. And then obviously, you know, like I said, you know, I wanted, you know, this opportunity, you can create financial freedom for your future family, you know, generational wealth. And, you know, and I understand that. So that's a goal of mine as well, you know.
Makes sense, man. I love that concept though. Automate your leads and you automate your deposit. So whether that's, you know, getting started with 500 a week, or, you know, once you get to a certain point where you said 5 months and you bumped it up to 2,000, whatever that is, automate your leads and you automate your deposit because you're forced to go to work, and it's built in discipline. I like that. That's great insight. Let's talk about some of your challenges in the home, right? Because I heard you on one call. I think you said something like become obsessed with the appointment count. So how does that help? Talk about that a little bit, and how does that help with, you know, somebody that, hey, they're not good getting going. Maybe they didn't have a sales background and they're nervous about getting into the house, or they're not doing well in the house. So how does that help them get better?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is key. I mean, becoming completely obsessed with the appointment count is what completely scaled everything for myself and anybody. You can probably ask any top producer, they're going to tell you the same thing, you know. Becoming obsessed with that 30 people a week. And I know like everybody on this call is probably thinking, man, I've heard that a million times. And that's literally all I did. Is I knew if I got in front of 30, I was going to sit with 20 and I was going to help 10 to 15. And with time, you get better. Why? Right. Because the more houses you get in front of, the more scenarios that you face, and you know how to adjust it, you know, on the different, you know, if it happens again, you know what to say. Right. So, like even this past year, I look at like my numbers and I only helped like 10 families a week. That was it. But I got in front of 30 and I sat with 20 to do that. It wasn't like I booked 10 and I helped 10. Right. So, that's one thing that can really and the thing is being, like I said in the very beginning, is just being obsessed, you know, on, you know, being obsessed with the appointment count and making sure that I did not miss a dial day. That was the thing, because if I miss a dial day, it completely screwed up the whole week. Like if I miss Mondays or Thursdays, I was just that guy. Like it was very hard for me to get back on track. And the in-home, I mean, for myself, I know a lot of, even as a new agent, that was something that was super scary for myself, was the in-home. I was like, man, it just scared me to no end. And I remember even my first couple of appointments, I don't know why it gave me so much anxiety going up to them homes, knocking on them doors. But the thing is, if you book 8 appointments and you drive an hour and a half, you're going to knock on them doors. You're going to go in there and you're going to try to make some money. And if you put, you know, you invest, you know, a couple grand, you're going to, you know, really try to stand up for the family, appropriately challenge them, and, you know, get the sell and ultimately protect them, you know. So, yeah, I mean, that was something that completely changed everything for me. And that would change everything for a new agent, is becoming completely, I mean, you book 16 over the next 2 days, you're going to sit with 10. I mean, I would say you would sit with at least 10, and you're going to help 6 to 8, honestly. Like, you don't even have to be that good, you know? And that was something that I learned early on. I didn't learn early on. I didn't. It took me a while to learn that. I back up there. It took me like my 3rd month in. I remember one of our agents that were here in the office was like, dude, how about this month you dial all day? I don't know about all day, but I did. And that first week, I remember I helped like 8 families that week. And I was like, man, dude, what if I done this a week in and week out? The next week, I helped like 10. And then the 3rd week, I'll never forget, I helped 15 families. I was like, man, that's all it takes, is just getting in front of enough people. And yeah, I mean, in terms of in home, it was just getting like, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm terrible in the home. It's just I get in front of enough people. That's literally, I would love to sit here and tell you that I'm good, but I'm not. I'm really not. It's just if I'm getting in front of, like, the guy who's super talented that gets in front of 10 and, or gets in front of 10 and he closes half, I may close it 30-40%, but I'm getting in front of triple the amount of people he's getting in front of, so that literally, that's something that I learned, like I said, my 3rd month in, and ever since that month, I think that month I ended up helping like right at 30 families. I never quit. I just continue to do that every week in and week out, and it literally scaled, it helped it scaled me to where I, am now,
Makes sense. Makes sense. What were some of the things you had to overcome in the home? I know one, you're young, and we've got a few agents here that are around the same age, 20, 21. But outside of that, in addition to that, you could touch on that and how you kind of handle that, and then anything else that you had to overcome. I know for me, and I'll share this real quick, even though I got in this business when I was 30, I still I come from a culture where you respect your elders, and you don't, you got to be polite, you got to be nice, and whatever your elder says goes. Where I had to switch that mentality, because now I had to guide them, and it took me a while to get that. That it's not being rude if I'm telling them what they need to do and how this is going to be done. But initially I thought it was being rude. So I had to overcome that to get better. So what were some of those things that you had to overcome in addition to being young?
Yeah. So in the home, man, I tell you what, that was something that was a massive struggle for myself. Because when I started, man, probably the first 50 people that I sat with, 48 of them didn't give me their social security number. Like that, man, credibility was something that I struggled with so much. And even to this day, I mean, now it's just, I'm a lot more assertive, a lot more assumptive, a lot more direct now. So it just comes and they see that. So it's a lot easier to, they see, that I'm knowledgeable about my process, my product knowledge. So it's I don't deal with that as much as I used to. But when I started, I just walked in. When it come to the why, I would just be like, why'd you fill this out? They would be like, oh, I wanted some quotes. So I'd write them up some quotes, and they told me they wanted to think about it. And that happened enough times. I was like, man, I need to really change up something. So I'll quickly go, just give you a brief overview of what my in-home looks like. As soon as I walk in, I pull up the lead, whether it's an internet lead, Facebook lead, direct mail lead, whatever it is. I'm like, so Bob, there's a specific question that I asked him, because when I initially started, I would ask him, hey, why'd you fill this out? And that's such a broad question. They can go anywhere with that question. They can say, hey, I was just looking for quotes. And then you're already off to a bad start. So I changed it up, and I've been doing this for the last 6 months, which has completely changed everything for me. Was I say, so Bob, when you filled this form out, who is the beneficiary that you were looking to protect? And what was your main concern when you filled this out and mailed it in, or you submitted it online? So I say, who is the beneficiary? Every time you ask them that, they're not going to say, hey, I was looking for quotes. They're going to tell you who the beneficiary was that they were looking to protect. So for example, if I'm sitting with Bob, he's going to say, well, I was looking to protect my daughter, Ashley. And he's going to say Ashley. I'm going to say, who was the beneficiary? So I was looking to protect my daughter, Ashley. And then from there, he'll expand on what his main concerns were at the time of filling out the lead. So I was looking to, protect my daughter, Ashley. And my main concern was just if I passed away, that she wouldn't be burdened with this mortgage. Right. So from there, what I'd done, and I learned this from Jake Conan, and this literally helped because I'd never really dug into the why when I started. So the emotionality wasn't there. So what I do is as soon as I ask that question, I'll look at my phone. And for example, like right now it's 2:32. I won't proceed unless it's 2:37 minimum. Obviously, sometimes it takes 10, 15 minutes, but at least 5 minutes, I'm going to sit there and ask them. So Bob, you were looking to protect your daughter, Ashley. Now, where's she currently located? Well, she's located in, she's located in Chicago. Okay, perfect. So what does that look like for her in terms of maintaining this place on top of your own place? What is it? Let's say, right now, Bob, we're in the market's booming right now, but let's assume that it takes 8 to 12 months to sell this home. What does that look like for her in terms of maintaining the home? And on top of all of her own bills, what does that look like? And then just really asking a lot of them questions to really pull out that emotion, because like Matt Smith says, emotionality increases the urgency, to put that application in place. So from there, I say, so perfect. So Bob, look, I show them some basic credibility. I start with my ID. I say, this is my personal driver's license. As you can see here, and this is something this one line right here, I felt like it's helped me help more. Like, it's literally made me more money than I could ever imagine. So Bob, I say, so look, if a lot of them think it's fake because it's vertical, but I tell them, look, it's vertical because if you're 21 and younger, I show them that. I say, so here's my vertical driver's license. I say, I do show them my physical ID. I say, so Bob, here's my driver's license. As you can see here, this is my personal address. And this is something I added and literally changed everything for me. I never had a problem with another social, collecting bank accounts, none of that. I say, so Bob, here's this. If you want to take a picture of this, that's fine. I show it next to my state license. I say, so Bob, as you can see here, I live in Tampa. If you're ever in my area, you want to come knock on my door, you can as well. That line right there, I felt like, I don't know, it's something very specific, but it literally helped me more than I could ever imagine. And it makes them feel good. And from there, I show some other credibility. The thing is I heard Grady Polson say, when you increase credibility, it decreases sales pressure. So they no longer feel like you're in there as a salesman. They feel like you're in there to really help them and protect their family. So from there, I just go straight into the presentation. Like Bob, we work with about 30 different companies. So what I'm going to do for you today is, out of all the different companies we work with, I'm going to not only find the cheapest plan for you, but I'm going to find the best, because the cheapest isn't always the best. Can we agree on that? Yeah, of course. So I said, I'm going to customize the product based upon your situation. Now, here's the most unfortunate part, Bob, is I'm not the decision maker. If I was, man, I would approve you right now on spot. Unfortunately, that's up to the company. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some basic health questions, some basic questions about your finances. And then I'm going to see throughout all these different companies who's going to come up with that cheapest plan for you. Is that fair? And then they're going to say, yeah, that's fair. And from there, it's pretty self-explanatory. I fill out the financial inventory, identify the discretionary income, really find out how much they have left over, find out what they can afford. Obviously, I say affordable probably like 10 different times. Bob, this has to be affordable. If this is not affordable, I don't want to do this for you today, because at the end of the day, I don't want you to call me 3 months from now wanting to cancel this just because you can't afford it. So from there, I show them the quotes, whatever quotes that I feel like are reasonable based upon the budget. And then I'm saying, so Bob, unfortunately, I can't make the decision today, but if you were to qualify, which option would be the most comfortable for you? So it kind of takes it away from them and then it gives it to them, right? So I say, hey, look, unfortunately, we can't make any decisions today, but if you were to qualify, which option would you want to leave to your daughter, Ashley? Or which option would be the most comfortable? And then upon picking an option, obviously you just submit the application. And then at the end, a couple key things that I do is, this is something that really helped me significantly. And this is literally, I feel like, completely changed everything for myself. So Bob, obviously we've done this today. I know that you know that this is very important. I know that this is very important. Now, the number one thing, Bob, such as I mentioned earlier, is I'd hate to even submit this if your intentions are to cancel it. Because if that's your intention, I don't even want to submit this today. I mean, is that a fair thing to, is that fair to agree on? And like, yeah, of course. So Bob, here's the thing, and I do this just because when I started, I got some chargebacks just because, and you can never get away from it, right? But I got more than I should have because I didn't really cement the sale. So at the end, I'm saying, so Bob, here's what's going to happen. If there is any missed payments, any cancellations, anything like that, what they're going to do is they're going to email me right here. They're going to say, Bob Smith canceled his policy. And then if I do see that, if I'm ever back in your area and you see me knocking on your door, you'll probably know why. So that specific thing right there helped me tremendously. Like they're like, man, this kid really cares, and I'm not just going in there selling them, leaving them my card, and then I'm dipping out. And then from there, I'll leave them what it's called. As you can see here, this is a policy summary. It's just something that I made up. I mean, some of you guys may have access to this, may not. I kind of customize it myself. All it is their name, benefit, carrier, policy number, monthly premium. Now, that is what most people do. Now, on the back of it, as you can see here, it's 1, 2, and 3. And you guys are probably wondering, what the heck is that? What that is before I leave, I say, Bob, so obviously you understand the importance of this today. I say, so here's a pen. If you don't mind, if you could write down 3 reasons why you've done this today, I would appreciate it. So from there, they're going to grab the pen and they're going to write down, protect my family, secure the home, peace of mind, right? So they're going to, with their own handwriting, write that down. So after I get them to write that down, then what I do is I leave them this. This has all of their policy information, right? On the back, it's the reasons why they done it. And then the last thing I leave them with is my business card. Now, this is something that's key, and I'm right at the end, but this is something that's key. When I leave them with that, I leave my business card on the back, okay? So when they go to call me to try to want to cancel or want to, make any type of modifications, what are the three things they're reading? They're reading the three reasons why they done it initially. So that right there really helps cementing the sale, and it literally changed everything for me, because at the end of the day, I can, we all can go out, we can sell we can help 100 families, but if 70 of them are going to fall off, it really doesn't matter. So that right there really, really helps with, keeping your persistency really high, keeping policies on the books, and ultimately, serving more families and maximizing your profitability.
Bro, that is phenomenal, man. I appreciate you taking the time and going through that. I know that's going to help a lot of people. Matter of fact, if that helped you, go ahead, put a fire emoji in the chat real quick so Michael could see that was super helpful. Dude, I'm implementing that. So that's pretty awesome. We do have that policy coverage form. So now we're going to add to that those three reasons. I think that's really great. To be able to make sure. And then let me ask you this too, because we do all those things to try to conserve the policy and keep it from canceling. When you do get that call or maybe that email, what's your approach to following up with that client to try to maintain that business?
Yeah, I just tell them, if they do call me like, hey dude, I decided on something different. Perfect, Bob. What I'm going to do for you is I have I just tell them, when is the best time to get back out there so we can finalize this cancellation? So they assume that you have to come back out. I just have a quick form I need you to fill out. When's the best time to get back out there to do that? So once I get back out there, I'm just going to tell I just go over the importance of how we initially, I feel like now, obviously with some clients, not everybody's going to, people they buy things and then they regret buying it. You're never going to get away from that. But ultimately that really helps, because when they go to call, because they're going to get my business card. When they go to call me, they're going to be reading three reasons why they initially done it. And it literally that helped me more than I could ever imagine. Like once I implemented that, it really helped me with, keeping policies on the books, keeping persistency up, getting that Americo bonus, right? Yeah. We all want that, so it really helped with a lot of them things, and, ultimately led to helping more families and, keeping policies on the books. But yeah, when I get that phone call, a lot of times you just want to try to get back in the home. If you can't get back in the home, then, it's not like you're going to go, but you're not going to go knock their door down, it's just, you got to let it go. But, yeah, that's just the things that have helped me prevent that. And it's the in-home, like I said, it's gotten my in-home's gotten a lot better from when I initially started. But man, I can tell you what, that right there, it took me a year to learn a lot of that. But that was a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work, getting in front of a lot of people. But yeah, that's what I do when they call me.
Perfect, man. And I think that one of the good things too, obviously, is to follow up, because I know sometimes agents might get that policy conservation email or whatever the case may be, and it's like, all right, I'm not going to look at that one. But you never know. Have you, Michael, have you ever had any situation where it might have been a banking issue where like the number is off on the account number, or whether you put it in wrong or Americo put it in wrong when they're putting in the payment system? Has that been the case for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've saved multiple. Yes, absolutely. Like I remember one lady in specific, it was $170 a month. What is that? That's like I'm sorry. I don't know. I can't be talking about AP. I'm sorry. It was, but that's what it was. It was, yeah. And it was like her account number was one digit off. I missed like a one. And if I wouldn't have called her and I'd have let that go, it'd charge back, So yeah, absolutely. On multiple occasions. And I've even had clients, let's say for example, they canceled. Hey Mary, what was the reason for the cancellation? Oh, I just felt like it was too much. Perfect. Let's decrease that a little bit. bam, I decrease it and conserve the policy, you know? So them are things, yeah, absolutely calling the client really helps. But I mean, like Sean Mike says, 20% is going to go no matter what, you know?
Yeah.
It's just on you to make sure that it doesn't fall under that, you know, 70%.
Makes sense, man. Awesome. Good stuff. So, being that you're new, have you had any, because it's been a little bit over a year now that you've been with Family First Life. Have you had your first death claim yet?
Yes, I did. And you want me to tell you something which is crazy. This is insane. I have had my first death claim, but it's not like you would think it was. And this is a quick thing that, you know, even agents on here can implement is I helped a lady. It was one of my first clients I ever sat with. Her name was Sylvia Drayton. It was about an hour south of Tampa. And I helped her out with a policy. It was a prosperity policy. And her policy, I don't think the initial premium ever drafted. And I was like, I told her, I remember calling her, and after it lapsed with the prosperity, I submitted it with Americo. She made her initial premium on that one, like their second or third premium, it lapsed again, second policy to lapse.
Wow.
And I get a notification on my phone of a death claim. And I go to my email, I type in the policy number, and guess what happened? It was a lapsed policy, so I couldn't help her. So I tell that story to a lot of my clients. I'm like, Bob, look, this is something that's very important. If this $170, if this is too much, let me know. Like, something's better than nothing. I promise you. If we ask your daughter, hey, here's, you know, if you have a $150,000 mortgage and you say, you know, here's nothing at all, but here's also 50 grand, you know, what is she going to take? Right. Yeah. I mean, logic tells you she's taking 50,000. He's like, you know what, that does make sense. Right. So, at the end of the day, something is better than nothing. And yes, I have had a death claim. It was just, obviously it resulted in something like that, which is very sad, but that's why I implement that to a lot of my clients. Like, Bob, you know, this isn't a Netflix subscription, right? This is something that's going to give your family money if you're to pass away tonight, you know.
Well, that's good. And it's having that story, you know, they say stories sell, having that story to share, a real life story, will help reinforce. And you guys can, I'm sure, Mike, you don't mind if they steal that story and use it as well, and with their clients that, you know, with what happened with your client, that policy lapse, and unfortunately she passed away. Another question here, if you guys have any question, and Mike, if you don't mind, maybe take about 5 more minutes of your time. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you guys have any questions that you want to ask Michael, just drop them in the chat. I see Cameron, you said any preference on the type of leads you like to buy every week. Did you find any particular leads working better for you booking appointments? So talk about, like, when you got started, what leads you were using, and kind of what you use now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started, I had $3, so I couldn't even afford an internet lead. But what happened was my manager gave me about 60 old leads. When I initially got the deposits off of them leads, I made like $600 in like an hour, and I was like, dang, bro, I went out and spent it all. I was young and dumb. I was 18 years old. I was like, of course I'm going to go spend it, you know? And I realized real quick that was just, man, being broke is a passport to misery. And I was, you know, I didn't want to be miserable. So, you know, I had to make some more sales off of the old leads that I had. And after I'd done that, I managed to reinvest. And after I reinvested, I ran solely internet leads for about my first 5 to 6 months. That was a mixture of CRM, you know, 1 month, Facebook, anything I could get my hands on. Because at the end of the day, we have like, Family First has like 25 different lead vendors. So regardless of whether you're in a saturated area or not, because I know I am, you're gonna get your 30 appointments if you really want it, you know. So when I started, I was doing solely internet, and then I started being more diverse in terms of like mixing a little bit of direct mail and then also doing internet, and that completely changed everything for me. So doing a little bit of direct mail and internet, and then this past year in 2021, every lead you can think of, I ran it. Like, if you can think of the lead, I ran it. I didn't do live transfers, but everything else I done. Yeah, even now, I mean, I know they say this, if it has a name and a number, it's somebody needing help. So ultimately that's how I try to look at it. And my thing is regardless of the lead, regardless of, whether it is a direct mail, regardless of whether it's an internet, it is somebody that does need help. And as long as I can, book the appointment, or I can door knock, or I can, call, just do whatever I can to resolve it. And becoming obsessed not only with the appointment count, but becoming obsessed with spending a certain amount on leads, right? Spending spending $2,000 to $3,000 a week is key, so yeah, I mean, now used to, I would do internet leads, and then now I'm pretty diverse.
Sweet, man. I've got 2 questions for you, but there's one more in the chat here. Any tips for recruiting the younger generation? This is coming from Anaya, who's 20 years old. So what are your tips for recruiting, younger generation, I guess, folks that are in their 20s?
Yeah, that's a very good question, man. Honestly, I would love to tell you I have I don't even know what to say. I've tried. I mean, it's not easy. Like, they're just, I don't know. I don't even know how to expand on that question. I don't know. I mean, goodness, I wish I could tell you. I'm going to be honest. I wish I could. I just can't. I've tried. It's just finding people that are highly motivated, I guess, that's the main thing, is finding people that really want it. And I learned that from managers within the company. They're like, dude, you can't spend your time with everybody. You got to find the people that are super hungry, the people that want more out of life, like I knew I wanted more, so I was going to make this work. People that don't make excuses, at the end of the day, them are the people you want to work with, because first off, I mean, you can't be lazy in this business. You'll be out of this business within a month if you're lazy. And 2, I mean, finding people that are self-motivated, I don't know. That's something I wish I could give a lot of advice on, but I need to perfect that myself.
I mean, I think that's a perfect answer, though, because you can't motivate somebody that's not already motivated. I think we're looking for the right people, and we're just pairing them with the right vehicle. I mean, I think that's all it comes down, because you are that person. You were hungry, looking for the right opportunity, and you found the right opportunity, and you're taking full advantage of it. Let me ask you this: for a new agent, right, that's getting started like you did, what is, I guess, some advice that you would give as far as, being able to stick to this long enough not to give up on themselves and what they can accomplish?
Yeah, man. Main thing is like, this will work for you if you work, right? And in the beginning, it doesn't feel like that. It's like, man, you'll be putting in all this work, the results really aren't there. But man, I can tell you, I didn't start seeing results till like my 3rd month in. I'm going to be honest. Why? Because I was really bad. Like most people, they're not as bad as I was. Like, I'm going to be honest, and I'm not just saying that, I'm being serious. Like it was terrible. But I know if you really put your mind to it, man, you can do this, because man, like I said, I come into this, I didn't have no college degree, I'm not verbally advanced, none of that. I just came in with a work ethic, knowing that I wanted something different out of life. And ultimately, that goes back to the question you asked me before this, like, how do you find motivated individuals? You got to find people that are hungry. At the end of the day, the thing is there has to be a fear of loss. And that was the thing for me. There was a fear of loss. I mean, there was a fear of me not being able to pay my rent. It's like them type of things scared me. Them type of things kept me up at night. But the best piece of advice I would give to any new agent would be to, just go all in, invest into yourself from day one. Don't be like me and wait 5 months to invest, because man, I waited way too long to invest. If I'd have done it, if I'd have started spending, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 early on, it would, scale me way farther than I could ever imagine, rather than waiting, as long as I did. But definitely invest into yourself from day one.
Good. All right, man. Appreciate the time. And the last question is, what's your favorite cookie? Because I'm sending you some cookies just to show you my appreciation for being on this call.
No, of course. Heck, man.
What do you like?
Hey, man, I don't mind some nice macadamia cookies.
All right, perfect. You got it, man. I'll shoot that down to you, and I'll get your address offline. So really appreciate it, man. And I commend you just for your hard work, your dedication to your craft. I think anybody that does that can have success in this business. if they put the time and attention and the effort and energy into what they're doing. One of the things that I don't know if you know, but you quoted in your conversation with us today, you quoted several other top producers, which tells me that you're plugged in and you're training and you're working on how you can get better. And that's such a valuable thing that not a lot of people take advantage of, where we just think automatically, well, as long as I know how to do one thing, that's how I'm going to ride it out. Because in most cases, when you have a job, you're not having to train, right? If you're DoorDash and you just get in the car, turn on the app, go drop off the food. But this is different. You have to work on your craft and become better every day. So, I appreciate you doing that and being a good example of someone that is doing that and just showing what it looks like when you apply yourself. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to add or leave us with. The floor is yours.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you having me on, man. I love, I enjoy getting on these calls, helping agents. 'Cause, man, like I said, I knew I was a new agent, and to have something like this, I would have loved. So, man, I appreciate you getting me on, man. I really do.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for being on, guys. All right, let's make this a big week. Let's finish up. We're in week 3 of February, so let's finish strong. And this call will be out on YouTube later on this evening. So happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thanks again, Michael.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.